Peace to everybody in the family. Peace to everybody in the family. Thank you for your patience. I was just talking to Billy about him coming to Atlanta May 18th for the Anunnaki movie premiere. He'll explain exactly what it is in a second. But family, what's going on with y'all in the chat? Yeah, thanks for being patient. Make sure you hit that like button. Tell your friends and family. Share this video if you can on your phone. Tell your friends and family that we are live and we're about to have an amazing esoteric conversation. So definitely share with your friends and family. And I guess we're gonna jump right into it. Billy, do you happen to have that commercial for the awards on you right now?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah.
With copyright free music, right?
It is, but it's monetized on my account, and I'm not sure if you've been in the whitelisted yet. So what I'll
Okay.
do, I will send you another version tomorrow just to make sure.
Okay.
I don't want to affect your monetization, so I'll send you another
Oh,
version tomorrow. Just for the future, we'll run it then.
got you.
Yeah.
Without further ado, let's already you already heard the man speak. Let's welcome back and bring Billy Carson back to the platform.
Hey man, good to be back, my brother. Good to see
Hey,
everybody here live in the chat, waiting on you. They're like, man, we got
yeah,
to see this. That's pretty
hey man,
cool, man.
hey man, Billy, I'm gonna tell you, man. That I told you this when I talked to you on the phone, man. I remember the first show I did with you, and to see where you at now, man.
Yeah,
I see you're all over the internet, bro. I can't turn around without seeing you, bro. I just seen
I
you on
know.
Andrew Schwartz Shorts. What's the name? Andrew what?
Andrew Schultz, yeah,
Bro,
on the Flagrant podcast. That's
man,
mainstream.
y'all got like 1.7 million views in a week. I say, yo, this dude, you're everywhere, bro. So keep it up,
Yeah,
man. Keep up the great
thank you,
work, man. Keep up the great
thank
work.
you, thank you, brother. I appreciate
Indeed.
it, man. Yeah.
I so oh yeah, before we get started, tell the people once again about the awards. The awards is happening.
Yes, we have the second annual Forbidden Conscious Awards, and that's coming up this year. We're talking about August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It's a 3-day event this weekend. August 2nd is a celebrity basketball game where you'll for your donation to get in to raise money for kids. You'll get to see celebrities play basketball. Celebrities being, people like myself hooping,
Mhm.
Omarion. He'll be playing some hoops with us. We have some ex NFL, some former NBA players playing as well. So it's going to be pretty cool. Great time for the friends and family. And then Saturday morning will be a speaking conference. I'll be speaking for 2.5 hours. Robert Edward Grant, merkaba 13, which the topic tonight is merkaba, right? With the merkaba.
Mhm.
He'll be speaking as well. And then we have a woman's panel hosted by my wife, Elizabeth Carson. And that night is a VIP yacht cruise sailing out of Biscayne Bay. You'll come on the yacht, have dinner with us. And then the next day is a book signing. And that afternoon, red carpet. And that evening is the award ceremony where you were at last year, Richard, and you got to perform and get an award. So
Yeah.
it's going to be all the way live down in Miami, Florida.
Excellent. Let me share this with the family because I'm nominated this year. Hold up, there's so much.
Yes.
Give me a second. I haven't been able to share this. Let me see. What do I do? Present, share screen. All right, family. If I'm nominated in the category of entrepreneur this year at the Forbidden Knowledge Conscious Awards, the second annual one. And if you would like to vote for your brother, you could text to vote at 954-245-0086, family. So make sure you're getting votes for your brother. Definitely gonna try my best to make it there again this year. Last year was absolutely amazing, and I'm positively sure it's going to be the same this year. So thank you
Oh,
once
yeah.
again, Billy, for putting that together for the whole
Thank you.
community. It's going to be amazing. I know. I know
Thank
you
you,
do
man.
it. You do it
Appreciate
big, man. You do it big.
it. The Conscious Grammys. This year is going
Oh
to be
yeah.
18. Last year we had 1,200. This year is 1,800 people.
Whew.
We're giving away a Mercedes. Last year we gave away the Audi. Remember that girl that won the Audi?
Yeah.
Well, this year we're giving away a Mercedes Benz. It'll be parked out front, just like the Audi was parked out front.
Mhm.
And one random person in the audience, we do the text drawing right there live on stage.
Right.
Somebody's going to win the Mercedes Benz.
Indeed. And shout out to King Simon and Dr. B Serious. They're
Mm-hmm.
also nominated. Shout out to those brothers. Make sure y'all vote for them.
Yeah.
And let's get this thing started. So Billy, because of the conflict in the Middle East, I constantly see the Star of David, more often than I have in the past few years because of what's going on over there. And seeing the Star of David always reminds me of me. You actually did. Me and you did a virtue workshop called the Imagination workshop. When you touched on the science of the merkaba and the Star of David and all that, and it was awesome. It was awesome. So because this is resurfacing, I know the universe uses symbolism to have us to remind of certain things or to tell us when we should tap into certain things. I said maybe it's time me and Billy talk about the merkaba and touch on it from different perspectives and just just touch on it again. It's a very important subject. I understand that the merkaba appears as a third dimensional Star David. So that's like when people see that, they don't understand the spiritual historical origins of where this star came from. And I also understand from the work that you put together that it's resonantly linked with each cell in the human body. So this thing here, this is some powerful. When we talk about sacred geometry, Billy, this is as powerful as it gets here. So
this is super powerful, multidimensional.
So once again, Billy, tell us about for those who may not have seen the Imagination workshop. To start out with, where does this originate from? What culture? What time period? This whole concept of the merkaba. We know it came before the Star of David. So where does this thing come from, Billy Carson?
I first see it based on my research showing up in the land of Kemet, ancient Kemet. I try to track it back further than ancient Kemet, and I really didn't see any specific distinct information prior to Kemet, So we're going back to ancient Kemet, pre-dynastic era Egypt, pre-dynastic ancient Egypt, right?
Right.
And so we're talking about a very, very ancient symbol that holds unparalleled power and knowledge.
Right.
And you have to tap into it. You tap into it through consciousness and frequency. That's the way to tap into the merkaba. And every individual person has their own personal merkaba. They just aren't aware of it.
Wow.
So when I taught my Egyptian mystery school live, this is pre-global sickness.
Yes.
We had them at Dame Dash Studios, right?
I remember.
And we had about 500 people each time, and I would do the merkaba guided meditation. And at the end of the meditation, people would come out in only 20 minutes, by the way. People would come out of that meditation saying that they had traveled to planets, oceans, they were inside of suns. Wow. One guy jumped up and ran around the room. So it was an amazing experience getting people to tap into their merkaba and actually lift off and take it for a ride.
Indeed. Well, yeah. So, so you go back as far back as Kemet. So one other thing that, I thought of sacred geometry that I thought of, ancient symbol that I thought of, if the merkaba Star David is a symbol for this vehicle, this chariot that we use to go to different dimensions. Another symbol that was popular in that same time period was the swastika. So we have a group that took the merkaba and you put it on a flag. Then we had another group that took the swastika, what they call the swastika, and started using that and put that on the flag and use that. So what are the historical spiritual origins of what we know as the swastika, Billy?
Yeah, well, the swastika goes back to really ancient times. We're talking about ancient Hindu, Indian, those people, and even Asian, utilized that as a symbol of peace. Wow. It was a symbol of love, unconditional love, and peace. And then we know during the World War II that Hitler took it and turned it into a symbol of hate and dominance.
Right.
But it originated as a symbol of peace. So now when we see it, because of what happened in World War II, not knowing the true history behind it, we see it and we go, oh my God, that's horrible. It's like looking at one of those Confederate flags or something. Yeah. But in true reality, the original meaning of that symbol has nothing to do with Hitler. So Hitler, unfortunately, he dirtied it up, man. He really messed it up. And the Star of David has nothing to do with what the people think it is. They're using it as a symbol for being Jewish, but it has nothing to do with being Jewish whatsoever. It really started out as a symbol, if you want to go back for Judaism, back in Israel. But it was originally known to them as the Hebrew name Magen, or Magen David, or Magen David. That was the name that they got. And it's two geometrically formed triangles. One's a tetrahedron pointing up, one's a tetrahedron pointing down. They intersect and they rotate counterclockwise to each other. Right. Now, that symbol creates a 6-pointed star. And they took that symbol, and then over time, it became known as a Zohar, right? Which is this mystical text that their religion believes in. And when it got into the Zohar in 1897, it then became a mystical symbol associated with Jewish people. And then after that, it just became a symbol of the Jews because Hitler used it to mark all the Jews during the Holocaust. And so they had fully adopted it. Now it's just used as jewelry, like how people will walk around with a crucifixion crossed on their neck. Same thing. So over time, you can see the degradation of the knowledge and the wisdom and the true power of what the symbol is until we get to the current day. It almost means absolutely nothing now because people don't have the knowledge.
Which star tetrahedron would be masculine and which one is feminine when we're looking at the merkaba?
When you're looking at the merkaba, the one pointing up is masculine, the one pointing down is feminine. It's a balance, a perfect harmony of masculine and feminine energy. And the trick to it for spiritual ascension is to learn how to activate it, get it to rotate, step into it, and take it for a ride. But also the other trick to it is some of the beings talk about being able to utilize it to travel and traverse the third dimension. In other words, I want to come see you in Atlanta, hop in it, and next thing you know, I'm in Atlanta. And so it's really an incredible thing. Thoth uses it. If you look at the emerald tablets of Thoth, on the front cover, you see him holding a merkaba. And inside the emerald tablets, he talks about utilizing it to travel in and on to different planes of existence.
Indeed. So why is this shape, this merkaba? Why do you think this is the vehicle of choice to travel to different dimensions? Why the merkaba with so many shapes out there, Billy?
Tetrahedrons have access to unparalleled power. If you take a look, it's a fractal of a tesseract, which is a fourth dimensional cube, right? And so it's a fractal of what they call the Metatron cube. So they took Metatron, turned that into Megatron for the cartoon, the Transformers, which now became movies and so forth. And what do they have in the Transformers? They're after the Allspark, which is the fourth dimensional cube. You see the correlations. They just build it into entertainment. It's called edutainment. Right. But in reality, that cube is the Metatron's cube, aka a tesseract. And it's the same tesseract that was inside the movie Interstellar. Now, when you break the fractals down and you begin to look at a tesseract or a Metatron's cube, you can fit 64 tetrahedrons inside of one. So if you draw a merkaba, right? If you draw a merkaba, however you want to pronounce it, on a piece of paper, right? And then you actually begin to create perfect tetrahedrons inside to scale, you will be able to fit 64. Now, when you see the 64 grid tetrahedron, that creates a pattern of the flower of life inside the merkaba or the Metatron's cube. The next thing it does, it creates this line of symmetry that goes around. And when you take away the tetrahedron from the merkaba or the Metatron's cube, you then get something called the vector equilibrium. And inside of the vector equilibrium is the access point for 0-point energy. And that exists at every Planck unit in space-time throughout the entire universe. So unlimited energy exists at every Planck unit, and it can only be accessed through that method.
What would you say is the most, you talked about the merkaba meditations you did at the at Dame Dash Studios. What is the most intense experience you had using this merkaba meditation? Like, Where can you tell? Like you went somewhere. Like, wow, what the hell had just happened?
Well, I wanted to use it to see if I can take a trip to Mars. This was one of the things I had talked about. And the most incredible experience that I had was not only feeling it and seeing it or being there, but smelling and almost feeling like you can taste it. So there was a movie a TV series that just came out. It was pretty popular, Third Body Problem. I think it was on Netflix. I just watched some episodes.
I heard about it. I heard about it. Yeah.
Okay, in that series, they have this this cap that you put on, and when you put it on, it's like a merkaba. It transfers you into a whole nother reality, and in that higher state of consciousness, you're at a location or a place that it sends you, and you can smell, hear, touch, feel, taste, everything. It was a similar experience to that. So if I can explain it. Yeah,
that's awesome. You know, I was watching a video you did. It might have been the same one, and somebody was commenting on you making a claim that you're a god. And I remember studying this information and talking to people about the concept of looking at yourself as God having a human experience. And one of the things Christians always wonder, Billy, is when they hear yourself, or even if Kanye says, I'm a God, which he's saying a lot now, they want to know, Billy, if they would say, Billy, are you saying you're a God, or are you saying you're the God? So if a Christian was to ask you, Billy, are you a God or are you the God? What would be your answer to that Christian who's curious?
Well, I'm actually both. So I am the God and I'm a God. And the reason why is because now, from their perspective, their mind is skewed to perceive that God is, if you say that you're God, then you're thinking planets into existence and you're creating multiverses by just speaking them into existence, right? They're not seeing the other part of the picture. The other part of the picture is, well, if God has created everything out of itself, that means that I myself am part of that energy, that divine spark that came out of God, which means that I'm imbued with the same divine energy. The spark that's keeping me alive and animated right now, that's allowing my spirit to animate this avatar body, is the same essence. It has the same essence as the God that spoke everything into existence or utilized whatever method it used to create this reality or this realm, or maybe even the multiverse. And so when I say that, I'm speaking from the mindset of understanding how fractals work, right? So this goes back to the ancient Kemetic principles, as above, so below. So what is happening on the grand scale is also happening on the smallest scale. So if we now understand through mathematics, the Mandelbrot set, which is a mathematical formula that proves that fractals exist and that we're living in a fractal holographic matrix, we must say to ourselves then, what is fueling this thing? What energy? Where is it coming from? Well, that must be the creator. And if that's the creator, and if I can access and actually understand that energy is inside of every atom that's keeping all the electrons and protons spinning around my nucleuses in every atom in my body, then I myself am also part of that creation. I am also part of that divine. So, like I tell everybody, I am God and God is me. And so I'm a fractal of the mass. I'm a fractal of the whole. And which means that the same power that created everything in the universe is also inside of my body. So instead of begging, hoping, and wishing for something to be manifested for me or changed for me, I'm commanding that it happens. I'm commanding it into existence because I'm pulling on the power of the creation that's already inside of me.
So, you talked about the merkaba resonating with each cell in the human body. Yourself, Bruce Lipton, a lot of y'all talk about, I think, what we had over 40 trillion cells in the human body.
Right. Yes.
So each one of these cells carry a certain voltage. How do we use this voltage in our cells to spiritually, like if this is the voltage that gets this vehicle moving, how do we tap into this voltage to get this merkaba spinning and twirling and going into different dimensions?
Right. Well, the first thing people have to understand is how much power they have inside their body, right? So you kind of hit it on the head. You're talking about each cell in your body
Mm.
having 0.07 millivolts of electricity.
Mm.
When you add up all the electricity in one human body, it comes to like 2.3 trillion volts, some crazy number. And the number is astronomical.
Yeah.
So when somebody said the power is in you, it's really in you. Like, that's an actual true statement. It's not like hypothetical. It's not woo-woo. Every single one of us has that energy. Now, what is the trick behind Reiki healing and the trick behind energy healing and all these different modalities that people utilize, moving energy with their hands and through their body?
Right.
What they're doing is they're accessing the existing energy inside of the cells in their body, and they're extracting it and moving it from the cell walls and moving that chi energy around the body. It's qigong. They're moving the energy around their body. This is exactly what Jesus learned. His name is actually Yeshua. What he learned when he went to Egypt to learn the Egyptian mysteries, and then left there and went to Tibet to learn Reiki, qigong, energy healing with the hands and all of that. Then he went down into India to learn the mystic arts. All right, that's all inside the Gospel of the Holy 12. You can find out where Jesus was when he disappeared from the Bible at the age of 12 and reappeared later at the age of 32. Mm-hmm. And so he went to learn these arts as well. How do you do this? It's through a method of meditation, through consciousness, and through frequency and sound, right? So through mantras and chanting and different types of frequencies. And so preferably the ultimate frequency would be 936, okay, 936 hertz. Because at that frequency, you're going to see that you can utilize that frequency for therapy on the human body. It's part of the series of solfeggio frequencies, and it's credible for activating the pineal gland, all right, which is things like this. This has been studied in actual laboratories. It helps with mental and emotional influence on the body. So it really is one of these magical frequencies that's phenomenal for utilizing in a merkaba meditation. And this is why I use a 936 hertz frequency when I did the merkaba meditation at Dame Dash Studios. It helps with mental and emotional influence and also connection to the universal frequency. It allows you to make that universal connect, that next leap forward to be able to transcend dimensions. So 936 hertz is a very powerful frequency to use for that. And that's why I use it when I take people into a merkaba meditation.
Well, speaking of meditation and visualization, we all know the power of visualization. You talk about how the brain a lot. You say this a lot, Billy. Since I mentioned you've been saying this, you say how the brain acts as the senses. Hey, what's going on out there? The senses tells the brain what's going on, and I guess the brain produces this holographic image of what was just told to it by the senses. So give an example. So if you want to lose weight, you look at the mirror or you visualize yourself 30 pounds lighter, your brain will eventually project this image of yourself, this immersive image of you being 30 pounds lighter. My question to you is, if I'm not interested in losing weight in my physical body, but I want to visualize more of my light body, what would happen to me physically if instead of me concentrating and on losing weight, I just concentrate on this merkaba light body all the time? How will that impact me physically body if instead of imagining the physical body, I strictly imagine a light body, Billy?
Well, you know what? That's a good question. But what will happen is, of course, if you're not focused on your physical body, you're probably not going to lose any weight, number one. So, but the thing that will begin to happen is you will begin to see things in a different light. You'll be able to understand things from a higher dimension, from a higher frequency, because your mind will always be locked into higher dimensions of conscious thought. And then you'll be able to probably even access deeper, more useful meditations at a much faster rate. It won't take you 3 or 4 minutes to get into a transcendental state. Maybe it only takes you less than a minute to get there because you're focused on it so much. You're gaining more. You're allowing yourself to be opened up to the cosmic energy and cosmic knowledge. And so you're allowing yourself to be filled up with more information. So what'll begin to happen over time, a person that's specifically doing that and only that, they will begin to get all different types of epiphanies and enlightened thoughts, different understandings, different perspectives, a higher level of empathy. All these things will begin to happen. Even better manifestation practices will begin to happen and form. So that will trigger a whole different type of a way of thinking, feeling, and emoting for that person and how they energetically operate in this third dimension. So I mean, if somebody's going to specifically make that their mission, they're going to begin to become what I call an adept initiate.
Excellent. Well, we got this merkaba, and one star is tetrahedron is male, the other one is female. As we know from the thoughts and manifestation, you need the electric and you need the magnetic. So people that are good at manifesting, Billy, they're good at, they say the magnetic is feminine, the electric is masculine. People that are good at manifesting material things, they're good at putting this male and female force together and eventually manifesting material objects, whether it be a car, whether it be a home, whether it be whatever. My question would be, why do you think people may be good at manifesting, using male and female energies to manifest material things? They know how to marry those male and female energies in the invisible realm, but they might not be good at relationships. So if I'm a dude, I may not be good at the feminine aspect of a female avatar, but I know how to use a feminine thought. I know how to use a feminine energy with a masculine energy all day long. Why do you think that is?
Well, there's so many aspects of reality and consciousness and manifestation. And so what you'll find is sometimes you can become an expert in manifesting specific types of things. And then other things you might be lacking, right? This is something that happened to me. I mean, I'll be quite honest with you. I had become a master at manifesting material things. I mean, an absolute master. And that's not bragging. It's just, sometimes it still amazes me till this very day, but sometimes I just look up at the sky and say, man, it's just too easy, But then I look up, it's just too easy, And then, but on the other side, it took a long time for me to manifest a proper relationship, right? I just finally found, after all these years, the right relationship and got engaged and got married. And so prior to that, though, I had a lot of not a lot, but I had about 5 failed relationships that just didn't work out the way that I thought they would work out. And I began to look and try to think, like, what is it that I'm doing that I could manifest all this physical stuff, but I couldn't manifest that one particular thing, which was not material. And I realized that my energy and my focus was going in one direction. I had to take that energy and I had to begin to apply it to what I really want to manifest, and apply all the skills, all the tools, all the understanding that I was utilizing to manifest material goods and a good life financially. I had to then apply all those same exact techniques to the immaterial. And when I began to do that, everything began to click and everything began to change around. And the side effect to that was manifesting the proper mate in that realm. It then flipped and turned around and it quadrupled the financial realm. Because listen, man, behind every good man is a good woman, is a great woman. And when you find the right one, they're going to help you magnify the pot of gold you already had. It's going to quadruple. So that when I stopped focusing here and took my focus here, this went like crazy over here. And the relationship is just as sound as it can be. One of the greatest relationships I've ever had in my life. And I wish everyone can experience what I've been able to experience. And it doesn't mean that we don't have there's no hard work for us, because it's hard work being in a relationship. But we're together pretty much 95% of the time, 7 days a week. When you take somebody out of the country for 9 months, away from their own house, right? And away from their own bed, and you can stay with that person that long, because that's how much we spent last year traveling, 9 months traveling, 9 months in hotels. You find out a lot about the person. But my focus was that I didn't put the energy there. So what people are struggling to do is they're struggling in areas to manifest where they're not putting their conscious thought, their conscious energy. They're thinking about it, but they're not really going all the way in like they are in other areas. I mean, Michael Jordan became is, in my opinion, the greatest basketball player in history. That's my opinion. But he ended up, having a divorce and having a broken household. So how come he can manifest becoming the greatest player, but couldn't take care of his own house? We see, it's because our energy flows where the energy goes. And now he's in a great relationship and he's very happy now, but it's these little things that we don't see, that we have this hyper focus on specific areas which we become really passionate about, and then we manifest those things and other areas become lacking. We have to find a way to have balance across all aspects of our lives, and then we'll see everything rise at the same time.
Oh yeah. I think a lot of people think we be joking or bullshitting when we be like, a good woman can multiply your money. Like, man, that shit is like real. Like, we not real. Like a good woman really, like, it is, and it's crazy, Billy, because the brother's always trying to get to the bag. Mm-hmm. A good woman will really help him get to that bag that he always wanted to get to, man. So yes, I just wish the brothers understood this science and how this energy works. Like this thing is real, man.
It's real, man. That's real. It's real. Prior to Elizabeth, I didn't have a woman that saw the vision, had the vision, wanted to participate in the vision, wanted to help the vision, and once I found her and she put two minds are better than one, focusing on the one main goal, everything just became magnified, man. And when you have that support and somebody has your back, when people are hating on you and trolling you and all these kind of things, and you got somebody to lean on and put your head on their shoulder, somebody to hold you up and stand you up and force your head back up. No, you don't put your head down. You look up. When you have somebody that has that ability to keep you positive and enlightened and striving to move forward, man, that's priceless.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. What do you think about, Billy? Have you ever, when we're talking about this merkaba meditation and we're talking about these two star tetrahedrons, one upside down and one looking up, one looking down, have you ever used this merkaba and visualize yourself with another person in it? Just like you in a car and you riding down the street, somebody's in the passenger side. Have you ever envisioned you and another person in the same merkaba?
No, I have never done that because each merkaba is for each individual person. Okay. So it's your own merkaba. It's coded to you. Your spiritual energy is coded for your energy only. So you'll have a merkaba, I'll have a merkaba. I can't get into yours and you can't get into mine. It's almost like a force field, right?
Wow.
It knows who I am. It knows my higher self is allowed to enter in, but nobody else is allowed to enter in. And what I like about the merkaba meditation, even though you're in the merkaba, you're still in your body, because you're talking about mind into higher dimensions. Your mind connects to up to 11 dimensions. And I've been saying this for so many decades, and people used to call me a pseudoscientist and I'm a crazy, I'm all this other tinfoil wearing hat. Now, in my last workshop, I put out the science. I think it was in God Power 2, actually. I put out the science that just 2 years ago, the Brain Institute finally put out the peer-reviewed science that the brain connects to 11 dimensions. So it's real peer-reviewed science. And so in that state, you're coming in at higher dimensions of thought, higher dimensions, higher realities, right? So your perception is totally different. From those dimensions, the past, present, and the future appear all at once. You see? And so people say, man, how do you go on these luck streaks? It's not that I'm dealing with luck. I'm getting glimpses of what the next move is before the next move needs to even be made. Right. And that's how I'm able to manipulate this matrix and bend it to my own will. And then everything that I touch, it just turns to gold, because I'm understanding from a higher perspective. A lot of people are inside of their own perspective, which gives you a limited amount of view. It's like being in a box and trying to see outside of the box, but there's no lid or window or door in the box. When you can get outside of the box and look down on the box and see everything else around the box, all of a sudden your perspective completely changes.
You just mentioned time, past, present, and future. How did the ancients measure time, Billy? You know how we got 24 hours in a day, 30 days in a month, and they say we started adding months in the calendar and stuff like that. How did they measure time exactly?
Well, it goes back, the furthest I can go back with time measurements goes back to the Sumerians. And they started talking about the Anunnaki giving them seconds. So they started doing seconds.
Okay.
And from seconds, they went to minutes. They went to this, 60 seconds to the minute. They went to the hour, so forth and so on. So the origins of that story are actually in Sumerian tablets, how they begin to add and create these intervals of time so that human beings could create schedules and everything else. And so that really goes back. Now, the oldest tablet that talks about time is around 7,000 years old. But we know that that tablet is a copy of an older tablet, because when the tablets would break or they wanted to distribute the information around the region, somebody else would make another wet clay tablet and use the stylus to punch in all the information and then transport that to another area so they can have the knowledge too. So these tablets go back sometimes tens of thousands of years.
Indeed. You travel the world, any evidence of a clock that goes counterclockwise, like the merkaba goes clockwise and counterclockwise, any evidence of a clock that maybe emulate what the merkaba is doing?
You know, that's interesting. I've never seen anything that's doing that in terms of going counterclockwise. The thing that I could say probably would be the most interesting is the very first astrology map that was put up in the Temple of Dendera.
Right.
And it gives you all the constellations in the sky, and it's in one of the ceilings inside the Temple of Dendera, and located in Egypt. But other than that, there has been no real thing that I can particularly think of that would show counterclockwise movement. Even some of the oldest clocks that I've seen at some of these ancient sites, these stone clocks, the one at Machu Picchu, even there's one more modern but using ancient techniques located at the Coral Castle in Miami. They all move around in a normal clockwise manner, which is pretty interesting that everyone chose that same method.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. I was telling I think a brother named Raul Nefa Amen. For some reason, I just unconsciously when I meditate, I have this habit of walking in a circle, and I didn't notice till like a couple of years ago that I always, since young, I always walk counterclockwise all the time. So I didn't understand. He broke it down. He explained it, but at the time I had no idea. I'm just following a natural. I'm just in the flow, but I always walk counterclockwise when I'm meditating, and I'm in deep thought. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No. That brings me to something that I'm trying to remember right now about a physicist. There's a black physicist who is building a time machine. And it's pretty interesting because they're talking about utilizing this. That is one. It goes counterclockwise to go back in time. Let me pull up his name real quick. All right. Because this is a pretty interesting thing. I think it goes right along with what we're talking about right now. I think his name is Ron or Richard Mallet. Let me see. Let's see. It's Richard. I think his name was Richard or Ron. Can't remember his exact name. But it will come back to me in a minute. He's a black physicist, right? And he's creating a time machine, and he actually already has a kind of a small version of it. And what it does, it utilizes lasers that go counterclockwise. He set it up to where the laser is actually reflecting and going back around and down, almost like a reverse spiral. And the reason why he's doing that is because he believes that if you put data on the laser, because the data is now moving with the laser, creating this warp space, that it can go back in time. You can deliver the message of that data prior to it even being sent. Okay. And the reason why he's working on this is because his father died early when he was young, and he wanted to be able to find a way to go back in time and see his father. So that became his life's mission, was to create a time machine that can go back in time. And this is a real time machine that's being worked on right now, today, in real time. I just wish I could remember his name now. I think I might have seen his name. I think his name was Richard, but can't seem to find it right now. But it's a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, just do some. Just tell us when you find that name, because I'm very interested in looking that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of time, Billy, do you think it's possible? Sometimes you do things for people. A lot of times, say you do something for somebody, and they'll say, "Why did you do that for that person, Billy?" Well, he's a good guy. In the past he did this, or he helped me out when I needed him. Do you think because time is not linear, do you think sometimes we do things for people because of what they're going to do for us in the future. We may not know consciously, but on a subconscious level, we know what this person is going to do 10 years from now. So we may do something amazing for that person and not be able to explain it through language.
Oh, that's for sure. I think that, people create a perception of a person, and sometimes they can see that person's vision, or they can see where that person could possibly end up. It's called networking. This is now what you're talking about is networking. And so in that method, one of those, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. So maybe I do a few things for this person. I assist this person in any way I can, give them my connections. If they call on me, I'll be there for them. And I think subconsciously at some level, not in a bad way, but I think subconsciously, hoping that in the future, this person's next level of success can pay off and provide some things that you may need, or some connections that you may need. And sometimes just networking along with people, like in some of my power groups that I have, all of us are making big moves, and we all then can pull on each other's contacts on a consistent basis. And that in that method, we're all rising at the same time. So we're scratching each other's back simultaneously, so to speak, right? So I'm involved in a group like that as well. So there's a couple reasons why, but yeah, subconsciously, sometimes you do certain things for people in hopes that in the future, there'll be some return on investment for the energy you put out,
Oh, yeah. The people in the chat, they're saying the physicist's name is Ronald Mallet.
Ronald Mallet, right, exactly, not Richard, Ron. I just found it, Ron Mallet, a Black astrophysicist and tenured physics professor at the University of Connecticut, has developed a scientific equation and prototype that he says could be the basis for a time machine.
Wow.
So that's it right there, yeah.
Wow.
Counterclockwise laser lattice that is warping space-time in reverse, allowing data to go back in time.
What are your thoughts on Nikola Tesla? When I think of these shapes and sacred geometry, and you think about the Tesla coils, and you think about ancient Kemet, some people, I heard people before, Billy, say that Tesla wasn't human. He was what's that, a Venetian? Somebody in the chat would tell me he was like from you ever heard anything about this? Like Tesla
They were saying he was Arcturian or Venetian. I've heard both.
Any thoughts on that? Any info on that you might be able to tell us?
Well, at the end of the day, he could have been from somewhere else, or his consciousness could have been from a higher being that maybe merged with his. There's so many things in this universe that are strange that could possibly happen.
Right.
Or at the end of the day, he could have just been an absolute genius. Some people say they're from Arcturus. And when somebody told me that he was from Arcturus, so I said to them, well, what planet? Because Arcturus is a sun. People, I'm an Arcturian. Okay, well, what planet are you from? What do you mean what planet? I'm from Arcturus. Well, Arcturus is a sun. It's not a planet. You're from the sun, the surface of the sun, or are you one of the planets orbiting? And sometimes they'll make up a planet name, but I say, well, I hate to break this to you, but there are no planets orbiting Arcturus at this moment. So there's no planets there. So sometimes people say they're Arcturians, and I'm like, well, how? You're a sun person?
You don't think there's beings that live on the sun? Not physical, but just beings that live on the sun? The surface?
Listen, everything is possible.
Yeah.
Everything is possible. Come on. But at the same time, a person telling me they're from Arcturus and they don't even know that Arcturus is a sun, then they don't even know that there's no planets orbiting it. That's a little different, So you gotta be educated in what you talk and telling people about yourself. You know what I'm saying? You better know the ins and outs of it. That's how I be getting these Christians. They don't know anything. But but Nikola Tesla was an amazing mind, because he would do these thought experiments where he would come up with an idea for an invention, and then he would create that invention in his own mind, and then he would actually put it together. In other words, all the nuts and bolts and materials and everything else, and then he would turn it on in his mind. And if it didn't work, he would see that it didn't work in his mind, and he would go back to the drawing board and recreate it until he got a working version.
Wow.
This guy didn't spend all this time making prototypes and using up resources. He knew in his mind's eye whether this thing was going to work or not, whether it would turn on or not turn on. until he got a working model in his own mind. Then he would produce the working version. So they're talking about a high level of efficiency. You're talking about high level thinking. This guy was beyond genius. So, man, it's incredible what he's able to do. He could be anybody from anywhere other than Earth, or he could just be an incredibly intelligent human. I wouldn't put it past any option, though.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You know, one of the things, words that when we talk about this visualization, one of the words that often get used in spiritual conversations is the third eye, what we call the third eye. And we talk about the third eye and tapping into the third eye. A lot of times when I meditate, though, Billy, I'm gonna tell you what's interesting is that I would see things out my peripheral vision. So we hear about the third eye vision, but we don't hear a lot of spiritual talk on peripheral vision. What can you tell me that you have learned about peripheral vision since there's so much talk about third eye vision?
Right. Well, in the peripheral vision, I think it allows you to see, we live in a multidimensional universe. And the dimensions that we live in from the third, based on the third dimension, stack up above us all the way to the 11th dimension.
Right.
And these dimensions are within 90-degree angles of each other, and they're compactified. And yes, compactified is a real word, people. Look it up. I remember I said that before in a podcast, and people were going, that's not a real word. I said, did you go look up the word compactified? Sorry, it's real. Anyway, so they're compactified. And they're only one Planck unit above one another, the smallest measurement that we have for any distance at all. So it's right on top of us.
Right on top, yeah.
Like stacked hard.
Like
now, when you're talking about from the peripheral, you can get into a specific type of meditative state, or you can, if you got that stare, that gaze going just right, and you're in the right transcendental state, you can actually begin to peer into a higher realm, a higher dimension, which will give you glimpses of geometrics. I've seen things that kind of look like moving clouds. And the thing you have to understand, in each one of these dimensions, there's another version of our universe, and there's life in every single dimension above us. So it's there. Now, like I said, it's a specific type of meditation where your eyes aren't completely closed. They're more relaxed. And you're in this same frequency that I talked about earlier, 936 hertz. And you get this glaze over your eyes that allows you to keep them open, just barely open, where you don't need to blink and they're not burning. Some people on this live probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And then you get this peripheral vision that pops in over time. But just try it. I'm telling you, if you try it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
One of the one of the technologies we use in what we call the New Age movement or the spiritual community is the tuning forks. And like, let's say a tuning fork is tuned to C, they will say that the root chakra is tuned to C. So they will, put the tuning fork on your root chakra so that they can resonate and then you can heal these chakras. I'm curious, is there any evidence, or do you think it will be possible, since each merkaba has its own frequency, to find out the sound of everybody's individual merkaba, play it so that you could heal the whole body? Because the merkaba, is playing your natural frequency. Has that ever, has ancient civilizations ever talked about recording the sounds of everybody's individual merkaba?
They haven't talked about particularly recording the sounds. They only speak of using frequencies and vibration to access portals, stargates, to access your merkaba, but to actually record them, no. Now, if we had the capability of recording a person's merkaba, the vibration of a person's merkaba, then that can actually be used to hack other merkabas. So if I knew the frequency of your merkaba, then I can hack it, right? And I can get inside of it. Then I can use your vehicle of ascension. So it's probably a good thing that we don't have that kind of technology at this time. But yeah, isn't that what possession is? Somebody hacking your merkaba? Is that the same concept? Well, no, because that's kind of separate, almost a separate thing from the body. I think possession could be somebody hacking your mind.
Okay.
All right. So they end up doing something inside. Some entity ends up doing something inside your own mind where it's interfering with your own synapses between your neurons, and it's creating different pathways and sending information directly into the mind, which create a situation where they have a certain level of control over your body. So they're remote controlling you.
Wow. Interesting. Billy, I'm curious, what's your thoughts on, what do you prefer? Written traditions or oral traditions? Because I heard you say something in the video before about oral traditions. I know a lot of ancient cultures practice that. Then we started writing stuff down. What do you think is better for us to retain all this knowledge 30,000 years from now?
Yeah. I tell you, it's a little bit of both, man. I like the oral traditions. Like when I went to Australia and sat with the Aboriginal elders, and they told me their verbally handed down history for literally thousands and thousands of years. They said that they were seated on this planet by Pleiadians. That's their verbal handed down history, and they stick by that till this very day. And then you have their verbal history of the Hopi, right? And one of the greatest traditions that I heard, of star lore from the Hopi was in 1991 or 2 maybe, where I read that they were going to be able to, that the world will be connected by a world wide web and information will travel to and fro instantaneously. And when I read that, now that was written down, but was written down from a Hopi elder, right? In this book that was about star lore, indigenous star lore. So it was a verbal history, a verbal handed down history. I read it and I said to myself, that same moment, if I'm alive when this web connects, people will get to hear my information all around the planet. I knew it at that moment. And then when it finally happened, I remember I was watching TV, and I think it was 1998, 97 or 98, one of those 2 years. An IBM commercial came on. It was just a black screen that said IBM.com. That was the whole commercial. And it came on a few more times during the NBA game, which I'm like, these are expensive commercials. What the heck are they talking about? So I went to the bookstore. I didn't even have a computer back then, right? I went to the bookstore and I asked the clerk, I said, I seen this commercial, IBM.com. Do you know what that is? She said, oh, go to that section back there called the World Wide Web. And I flipped out. I knew it was here. So those traditions are powerful, man. You can't put those verbal traditions down because they carry a lot of rock solid information, one of which I lived through a time period when one manifested and came to reality.
Oh, amazing, man. Amazing. Yeah, just this oh man, this thing gets so good, man. This thing gets so good. In terms of, you're so well traveled, you know a lot about a lot of different cultures. I'm just curious, when I hear about certain words we use, their connection to ancient cultures like Kemet. So I'll give you an example. There's a guy named ancient Kemet named Bess. And I think his consort name is Basset or something like that. Is there any correlation with best and best? We use best in the English language to when we're talking about excellence, when we're talking about, something real good. Any connection between the English word best and the Egyptian god Bes?
That's a good question. Now, I can't say particularly if I know of any connection there with that, although it is a great coincidence. What I can tell you about the Bes is that Bes looks like a very strange person, I should say. So Bes is approximately maybe 4.5 feet tall, has a very stout, strange looking body, and a face that doesn't look like a human being. It looks more alien than anything. It looks not like a gray alien, but definitely doesn't look human. The arms and the hands and everything else look alien. And the statue of Bes can be seen in various different locations around Egypt. One of the most famous ones is when you're walking up into the temple of Dendera. When I take my people on my Egypt tours every year, I show them Bes heading up into the temple of Dendera, and they're blown away because this thing doesn't look like a human being at all. And so the story behind it is that these were known as the Chateau, were the brick masons that knew how to do all the incredible megalithic construction.
Right, indeed. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of interesting information. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in. We got about 2,200 people in here, Billy. Before we continue, tell the people when the awards is again, Billy.
The awards are August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. The 4th is the actual day of August that we will have the award ceremony, and that will be at the Adrian Arch Center in Miami, Florida. It's going to be an amazing event. If you want to buy tickets to come down this year, last year was mind-blowing. If you want to buy tickets to come down, you got to go to forbiddenknowledge.com, Forbidden Knowledge, or just go to the link in my link tree. You can get tickets, and we'll see you down in Miami for an amazing weekend.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Make sure y'all get more information on that. So much knowledge, so much information, so much talk on, energy and frequency and the power of your thoughts and the merkaba. I have a question for you, Billy, when it comes to the power of your thoughts. Because I know you said thoughts travel through the universe like a radio wave. Let's say me and you, Billy, let's say we want a car. Me and you want the same car. And let's just say it's a Lamborghini truck. We both want a Lamborghini truck. We both have the same, let's say if we were able to measure, we have the same amount of positivity and intensity when it comes to thinking about this Lamborghini truck. The difference between me and you, though, Billy, is that you have an audience. You're an internet influencer. So you have an audience who may support your dreams of getting a Lamborghini truck. I'm just a regular working man. I don't have an audience. Does that make it more easier for you to manifest your Lamborghini truck because you have people that may support your vision, and I just may be in my room, but I have the same intensity as you. I think just as positive as you, but does it make it easier for you to manifest it because you have an audience supporting your vision, Billy?
That's a good question. It doesn't make it easier because I have an audience. What happens is there's a part of manifesting that people miss out on, and that part is the action part. So I actually created an equation for this. The equation is CT multiplied by A equals M. And that means conscious thought multiplied by action equals manifestation. So we both have the conscious thought. We both have the focus. We're hyper-focused on this Lamborghini truck, right? But there's action steps that need to take place. In other words, there's a requirement for an energy exchange that has to happen in order for progress to be made to move me towards a situation where I can attract that into my life. So one person is hyper-focused and not taking action and hoping that it manifests for them. The other person is hyper-focused, but is also taking action steps. In other words, that person may have already gone down and driven the car, figured out what color, what style it's going to be, what type of rims, sound system, all of that. Also, they may be analyzing their current financials and saying, you know what, okay, I have a financial situation here. At this exact moment, I can't, but what can I do outside of what I already have going on that could put me in a position to be able to afford to cover the price of this car, this vehicle. All of a sudden, because now their focus has shifted from the vehicle to the action steps needed to get the vehicle, now they're putting themselves in a position where opportunities are going to become manifested for them. Opportunities for new clients, for a better job, for a bonus, for whatever. It's coming out of the ether because now the energy has shifted. Now that the energy is shifted there, you have to go through the action steps in that area, whatever it is, to acquire those funds. That is going to begin to pull toward you the thing that you're trying to manifest, which in that case would be that truck, that Lamborghini truck. So there's a process that goes into it. It's not just focusing and thinking about it. That's a great start, but it's not enough to really become a master at manifesting.
You know, when it comes to manifesting and being a master at manifesting, you talk a lot about affirming and commanding. You command certain things into existence. Now, I'm curious, when it comes to commanding things into existence, because we're dealing with certain energies and you mentioned the ether and people think about divine feminine energy, should you command energy as if when you talk to a woman different than you talk to a man? So if you want something from your lady, you're going to talk to different than if you want something from your homeboy. So when you're making these commands, do you make the command as if you're talking to your lady, or do you make the command as if you're talking to your homeboy, Billy?
That's a good question, man. I really feel the power, in just being not arrogant, forceful, but just being like, hey, this is it. This is the situation, and that's it. In other words, I'll give you a very simple example. When I fly, I always do the same thing. I know a few people that pray as soon as they get on the plane. please, Father God, protect this plane and please make this plane worthy of the air and allow us to land safely in our location. That's not what I do. To me, that's weak. To me, that's how you talk, trying to be gentle with your lady. But what they're trying to do is cast a spell that the plane will make it to its destination because they're spelling, all right? And what happens is that's a bad spell because the way that they're casting it is doomed to fail. There's no energy. There's no strong, high-frequency energy in that prayer. My prayer is it's already done before it's done. I see the end before the ending. So my prayer is I arrive at my destination safely, and the plane is safe. That's the end. I'm done. There's no more elaborating. There's no more thinking. I'm not going on and on, talking in circles and beating around the bush and begging for some outside source to come in and fix the situation if something goes wrong. I'm saying I'm commanding it don't go wrong. And I'm commanding I get there on time and safe. And sometimes you don't get there on time. Sometimes there's a plane delay. But guess what? I find that over the last 12 years, I've made it to all of my destinations. Even if a flight is canceled, I get on my phone, another one pops up. I hop on that one. So I've been blessed with the gift of abundance to be able to make moves. I had to come see you in New York, right? Remember that time?
Yeah.
I had to work in 3 states in one day, and I accomplished that entire mission, even though everything was going wrong. I didn't even have ID.
I remember.
Yeah. But guess what? I made it to every single destination without everything that I needed, and with a whole bunch of planes and flights being missed and everything else. I still was on time to everything I had to do that day. I went around the entire United States and came back home in one day. And so it's all about understanding that power. And I think when you command at that level, everything that you need to make what you need to happen is going to come right to you. It's going to retract it right to you. Versus I believe that the other method of begging, hoping, and wishing, it just pushes away every opportunity.
Indeed. New Diamond, shout out to New Diamond. She was at the awards last year. She said confidence. Yeah, if because if the energies out the ether is feminine, women love confidence. They love a confident man, Billy. You can get them to do a lot of things if you tell her in a confident tone. Now, if you tell her in a scary tone, she's gonna say, "Shut your ass up and get on out of here." But if you tell her, "Hey, come here, baby, come here," she gonna come. She gonna
Oh, you know what? That's so true because when I coach, and New Diamonds is right. I coached women's basketball for years. I had one of the largest programs in South Florida, the South Florida Lady Jaguars program. It was known around the entire United States. We had 121 players over 7 teams. And every single one of those players got a scholarship to go to college. The scholarships added up to over $12 million documented. And what's important about what I'm saying here is before I coached women's basketball, I used to coach boys basketball. And I got tired of the boys because, man, they just was knuckleheads, hard-headed. They mostly want to go on their own athleticism instead of listening and being coached, right? And learn the skill and the understanding and the tactical part about playing basketball, the basketball IQ part, they just like, I can just jump over this guy or whatever. So I moved into coaching women's basketball because my daughters wanted to play basketball. And I fell in love with it because I realized something. If you have confidence and you show that woman the confidence and you demonstrate that confidence, they will run through a brick wall for you, guaranteed. And I got my players to achieve and even overachieve in some cases. When we played against teams that were so good that entire team went pro later on and still were able to beat those teams in tournament play. But it all stems from understanding the confidence and how to speak with confidence, but not in a demeaning way, understanding how to show the power and how to operate in that power and show them that you can guide them in a particular direction if they listen. And it was amazing. I had a great run, man. I was at 80% win rate and 15 gold medals in U.S. Junior Olympics, AAU, and USSSA.
Ooh, man, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I ain't know all that, man. Wow.
I started off online. I was known first as Coach Billy, not Forbidden Knowledge. And my Facebook is still Coach Billy.
Coach Carson, right? Wasn't it Coach Carson?
Coach Billy Carson. Coach Carson's my Twitter.
Okay.
It's been verified for years because I was with Team USA basketball. So it's been verified for, I don't know, 10 years or something like that. And then my Facebook also is Coach Billy Carson, right? But yeah, that's how I was known at first. is the coach, because I was a big time coach and I had a scouting program also for girls basketball.
Yeah. Dope, man. Yo, you always have such a great time when I do shows with you, man. Always
Hey,
have
man, me too, brother.
always have such a great time. Let's you down to do a couple of questions from the people?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it, man.
Yeah, let's get to a couple of questions from the family. Shout out
Don't
to
forget,
everybody.
I'll be in Atlanta on May 18th.
May 18th. Let me
Atlanta.
that poster behind you, the Anunnaki. He's gonna be
see.
in Anunnaki. Hold up, let me. Yeah,
I should
ancient.
have sent you this image.
Yeah. So my you know what? I'll put it on before the end of the show. When you get to the next question. Shout out to everybody in the who sent the super chat. We're gonna get to some Q&A. Shout out to everybody who's viewing and watching. Just to let y'all know, I will be on live tomorrow with KT the Arts Degree, 9 o'clock, same time. So y'all could come back tomorrow for KT the Arts Degree. Let's get some questions from my brother Billy. Always a magnificent show. When I got Billy Carson on here. Let's get to some questions. Let's get to the first super chat question. This one is: what are the chances of black holes being compressed universes? And I'm gonna let you answer that. I gotta run real quick, but go ahead, Billy, answer that. Go ahead.
Yeah, great question. So now, black holes being compressed universes is interesting that there's a theory by actual theoretical physicists out there right now that black holes could be the other side of a white hole, and that a white hole is from another universe that spews energy and matter into a new universe. So now what's interesting is Stephen Hawking's discovered, he used to think that black holes would just be there for eternity, like they were just there. Then he realized something else, that black holes emit something called, now we call it Hawking's radiation. And so we know that Hawking's radiation, it has to do with the decay rate and the energy that's being emitted from the black holes, allow them actually to evaporate over millions of years. So black holes actually will disappear over time. But so what it means is, well, where is it going? Where's all the energy and everything else that it's capturing going on the event horizon? It's quite possible, theoretically, that black holes create white holes, and that these white holes begin new universes. And that's potentially, could be, maybe, how we got a multiverse. It's a hypothesis. So a good question, though. Oh, Richard's gone. Let me see if I can find another question here in the live chat. He must have had to go run to the restroom real quick. Somebody says, what are your thoughts on destiny being free will of your higher dimensional self? E-Snap. Good question, E-Snap. So destiny being free will, I believe that we live in a free will universe. I'm answering a question by E-Snap. I believe that we live in a free will universe, and that our higher self is always guiding us, and that there is no one specific outcome that says this is your only destiny and that's it. Because when you look in quantum physics, we discover something called superposition, and that all future realities exist in superposition of one another, which means that all possible realities actually exist at once. And that you have individually, you have the power, by listening to your higher self and following your higher self, your higher knowledge, being able to collapse the reality that you want to see. In the Sumerian tablets, they call themselves the ordainers of destiny. And they would ordain their own destiny, these people, by actually seeing the multiple options that exist and picking the one that they wanted to see, and putting action steps in place to achieve the goal of achieving that particular one outcome, collapsing that one outcome into existence in their reality tunnel. And so I believe that's what we have the capability of doing, that any particular outcome can happen at once. In other words, one outcome is, I can right now predict the future, right? I can see myself multiple choices in this room right now. I can see myself getting up and walking out on Brother Rich and leaving him hanging on this live podcast and be like, what the hell's going on with Billy? That's one option. I have another option. I can see this glass to my left and I can pick it up and I can take a sip of coffee out of it. The third option is I can pick up this disc in front of me and hold it up. So I just picked it up and held it up. This is the one that I wanted to collapse into my reality. The other two didn't make it into my reality at that particular moment. But this is the reality that did happen at that moment. Because why? I chose that. I collapsed multiple opportunities of things I could have done within the moment. And I chose to pick up this disc instead. instead of walking out of the room or instead of picking up my cup of coffee. So by that simple demonstration, if you can take that to a mass scale and see how everything you think of creates a particular outcome. In other words, every action you take is going to have a consequence. It could be a good consequence or a bad consequence, but I guarantee you there's always going to be a consequence. It's a principle of cause and effect.
Indeed. All right. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, y'all. All right, Billy, can you manifest universes you see in dreams?
Well, I don't know if you can manifest the universe, but I believe that if you can see it in a dream, it exists. It's, from the sages and the pyramid priests and temple priests and everyone that I've talked to around the world, they said that when you go to sleep, you're entering a realm of realities. And when you're awake, you're in a fake realm. So the mind travels into realities that exist. And if you can see it, it exists. And so I believe that if you can see the universe, it probably already exists out there somewhere.
Indeed. All right. Let's get to another question. Let me see. This is a super chat question. Did the Anunnaki ever refer to the earth as a being? And did they have a personification of her in the Sumerian tablets or any ancient tablets?
That's a good question, Ethereum Indigod. So I haven't seen anywhere where they refer to Earth as a being. They refer to something called a creator of all in the tablets, where they're referencing something that they say they're going to have to answer to because they realize that what they did to us on the planet was wrong, and that they violated, some type of accord or whatever, agreement, right? A prime directive of sorts by engaging a species that was less advanced than them, or at least we weren't on the technological level yet, that they were close to it. And so they said that based on what they had done, that they themselves would have to answer to the creator of all. But they never specifically mentioned the earth itself as an actual being. Doesn't mean that they didn't believe it. They probably did know that, but they didn't teach it to us.
Indeed. All right. Next super chat question. Shout out to Terrence. Brother Richard Billy, does the Star of David merkaba represent fourth dimensional mathematics? Please explain.
Oh yeah, because the Star of David is a representation of the merkaba, or the what I called earlier the Metatron's cube, which is a fourth dimensional cube. And that fourth dimensional cube, we now know in a laboratory setting, creates something called a fourth dimensional quasi-crystal. And when you take a fourth dimensional quasi-crystal, which they've created in a laboratory setting, and you point it in a specific direction, it casts a shadow. And the shadow that it casts is actually a sphere. And they now hypothesize that the quasi-crystal from a hypercube of fourth dimension is creating the realm that we actually live in. That we're living in the shadow of a higher dimension, basically, a shadow made of light. Pretty hard to wrap your mind around, but it's powerful stuff.
This is the shadow world, huh?
Yep, that's right.
Wow. So just like when I walk, my shadow follows me. This realm follows another realm, just like that shadow that we see. Identical. Woo.
Yep.
So Billy, if I ever try to change the shadow, I won't never get nowhere. So we try to change the shadow instead of trying to make change in the other dimension, huh? We need to be focused. Wow, we got this thing backwards, Billy. We chasing the shadow.
We're chasing the shadow. We're immersed in the matrix.
Yeah.
So our perception from in here is totally different versus a being that could be in a higher dimension. And so that's why a lot of knowledge is eluding us as to how this universe works, because we're immersed inside of it. We are trying to figure out how it's working from a perspective of being inside the matrix versus being outside the matrix.
That's a hell of a game, man, to be immersed in a shadow realm where you run around chasing your tail. You just run in circles. Wow, man, that's a hell of a realm, man. And this immersion, I mean, I'm sure like from another realm, this realm might look easier than what it is, but when you get in this realm, this shit ain't no joke, Billy.
Yeah.
Once you get hit with that brain and you in your eyes, like, whoa, this shit. I mean, if the Vision Pro is realistic, the brain is like, man, listen, man.
Crazy. We're walking around with quantum computers on our head.
On our head.
Literally.
Yeah, man. And it's like, what's so interesting about this realm, Billy, is that no matter how hard you get into the information, sometimes when you know, when you're in that, in the midst of things, you just forget all of that. Like sometimes I know so much information, but if I'm in the middle of something that's going down in the present time, sometimes I just forget everything I ever learned, man. So
it happens, man. It's a growth process, you know what I'm saying? It's how do you master life in this dimension? And every single day is a learning opportunity. I think the trick really is, as we go through life and we have situations where we don't feel like we're succeeding. I don't like to say that we're failing. We're not succeeding in them at that moment.
Right.
That we look back and reflect on that situation for a moment and see what we could have done differently, and send our mind outside of space and time and see different actions we could have taken, and then viewed what the potential outcome could have been if we did something else, and then learn from that, and then take that into the next move we do, so that that particular thing doesn't continue to happen over and over again. The key to becoming an adept initiate and ascended master is fixing previous mistakes and learning from them, and putting in situations implementing situations in your own mind that allow you to not fall for those same things over and over again, so that you can see the growth within yourself. And by that method, you're becoming born again, and you'll be born again many times in one lifetime.
Wow. We're gonna do two more questions. Let's get to this one. And Yaya wants to know any thoughts about Project 2025.
I've heard of Project 2045, but maybe it's a typo. I don't know. But I haven't heard of a Project 2025, but I heard of a Project 2045, which is run by Ray Kurzweil. It's a project out of Russia where they're working on the ability to transfer human consciousness into an avatar body. They started off in around 2008. They transferred a monkey's mind into a computer. The monkey thinks it's still alive. The body's dead. It's in there eating bananas and climbing trees. Right. By 2015, they were successful in transferring human mind into a robot, or they say it wasn't human. They're still saying it was animal. But I know how they operate. Yeah. But they say it wasn't human yet. But their goal was to have a human inside of a robot by then. Well, we already know that the Avatar project by DARPA in the US had already made a symbiotic conscious link from a soldier to a field robot. So they can do it. They probably did it already. And then by 2045, the goal was to be able to transfer a human mind into an avatar, just like the movie Avatar, so that you can live forever. They could take a skin cell from your body, and they can take that skin cell, put it under the right laboratory conditions, turn it into a stem cell. From a stem cell, they can then regrow a copy of your body by culturing them into groups of stem cells, recreate an entire copy of your body to any age specified, and then transfer your mind into your new body. That's the method of immortality that the elites are looking to for the future.
Indeed. All right, let's get to this last question, Billy. One night I meditated on a 3D animated tesseract. When I woke up the next day, I had vertigo. Why did that happen? Thanks for all you do.
Appreciate you, love, wisdom, freedom. That's pretty interesting. So the tesseract itself is we can envision it in the 3D, but even though we envision it in 3D, it's still a four-dimensional crystal or a fourth dimensional object, being that it's Metatron's cube. And because of that, it has this interesting multidimensionality to it. It's possible that your mind could have entangled with a higher dimension, entangled with that thought in that higher dimension during your dream, and possibly gotten you to feel a little bit disoriented. It could be there was such a dynamic dream, being maybe partially, in that dimension, or maybe even visiting that dimension from the spiritual realm, and then coming back to the third dimension, maybe left you with some disorientation. I'm not a doctor or a physician or a meta scientist or whatever you call it, metaphysicist. I'm just saying my hypothesis based on what I read, maybe that's what happened.
Indeed. All right. All right, Billy, I want you to tell the people about you getting ready to come to Atlanta. I got it. Let me put this on the screen real quick. It's going down in Atlanta. Tell the people, let me take this off. Yeah, what's going on with this Anunnaki Ancient Secrets Reveal? What's going on with this, Billy? What you got going on?
It's a big series, big series. It's a huge docu-series, and I'm airing the premiere of the docu-series in IMAX theaters all over the United States. The first one will be LA Live in Los Angeles on May 12th on Mother's Day. And if you're a mother coming out there, we have a special gift for you. The second one will be in Atlanta, Georgia at the Atlantic Station Stadium 18 IMAX. Atlantic Station Stadium 18 IMAX. The tickets for it are on forbiddenknowledge.com. So you got to go to my website with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.com, or go to my link tree, and you should be able to find the event there. I'm going to be speaking for 1 hour. So it's going to be a live presentation. There'll be a meet and greet, book signing, red carpet photos, all of that. And then we're all going to watch the live premiere of Anunnaki Ancient Secrets Revealed together. And then after the movie airs, we're going to do a Q&A for about an hour after it airs. So you'll be with me for about 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours. We're going to spend a lot of time talking and going over information and watching this incredible new series that I produced, written. I'm really happy with it. I'm going all the way back millions of years to talk about the origins of these people, who they are, and what they look like, where they came from, and why they came to Earth. And you'll see this image that Rich put up. We're talking about a multiracial species. Up here you have blue, black, you have white, and you even have one that looks like a bird, but it's not really a bird. That's a mask, a Stoth's mask that he had on. These people all look humanoid. And I'll be talking about why they look like this and where's the evidence of this, and all this information is going to come out. I start off with the origins. It's a really, really big story. So I'm anticipating this story could take years to talk about. We're talking about dozens and dozens of seasons, and they're talking about hundreds of episodes. I'm really excited about the first season that we've completed, and looking forward to completing many, many, many more seasons. I'm heading back to LA to film for another 3 days, some more episodes. It's going to be a very powerful series. It's going to answer a lot of questions, and it's all based on actual receipts. It's not off the dome. And it's done in a way that's so professional. You can take this documentary and say, hey, look at this, and somebody can go and look at it and see something so professional and so profound that they'll begin to do research themselves and ask more questions.
Hey, Billy, a lot of the ancient cultures, they often have something covering, like you see how the black dude and the blue dude, even the white dude on the left with his hat, there's something right on the third eye.
Yeah.
We often see like some type of sacred shape or symbol or something. But a lot of cultures, even in a lot of Indians, they have the red dot in between the middle of the two eyes. You know, some cultures do things for fashion. You talked about jewelry, and some cultures do things for technology. We just don't understand that it's advanced technology. Was this some sort of technology that we don't know that's technology? We might just think it's just fashion purposes.
I believe that these ancient peoples had a complete understanding of the third eye, access to their third eye, full access as it's a spiritual antenna, but they also utilized technology on the frontal lobe to enhance the capabilities of that spiritual antenna, which possibly gave them things that we're going to see ourselves do in the future with our technology coming out. Gave them psychic abilities, telekinesis, ability to move things with the mind, all those kind of things. So for example, right now, Microsoft has a brand new wristband coming out that taps into the nerves in your wrist it's non-invasive. When somebody else wears that same band, you and that person can have psychic communication with each other without moving your lips, all because the band translates the thoughts from the mind, sends it into the band transcodes it, sends it to the other band and decodes it, and that person then can hear your thoughts in their mind. This is something that's right now being done. Microsoft has this particular technology. And so I believe that this tech that we see in all these ancient cultures, not the ones that are wearing it for jewelry and for looks, but for real technology purposes, I believe they had a blend of technological advancements with spiritual energy and knew how to utilize it in the proper way. And I think that's what we see in a lot of these ancient images.
Indeed. Yeah. A lot. Yeah. This technology, Billy, this thing, a lot of people think it's getting scary out here, man. What you think it's getting a little scary with this technology?
Listen, they released this stuff on us with no oversight, no congressional oversight, no bylaws, no parameters. They just said, boom, here you go. And the problem is it's a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing because it really can help you do a lot of things and become very efficient, right? Especially for business people. There's so many things that we've been able to utilize it for, even in our business. And every day, to be honest with you, every single day I upload conscious information into this AI so that it begins to learn my information, because it's a learning program. It learns from what's getting put into it. So I'm making it learn. I uploaded my whole book, all my books into this thing. I sent all my books. Okay, you're gonna learn from us, because that's what it says in all the small print. Well, you're gonna learn from me, and I'm gonna send you some information. So every day I send stuff into the AI, so that it's not just based on who programmed it initially, which is probably biased, racist, political, religious, whatever. I'm gonna give it consciousness, metaphysics, spirituality. But on the other note, like I was saying before, it's a blessing and a curse. So it's a blessing because it can help you become very efficient, but it's also a curse. Why? Because it's going to replace about 90% of the workforce, as it's in AI, it's in robotics, and also in software. And they're finding more and more innovative ways to reduce the need to have real employees. Flesh and blood employees is going to be gone away. In 10 years, Richard, you and I are going to be bragging that we went to a restaurant so nice that it actually had real people that was waiting on us. We're going to be like, we really had real people there. Remember this day. In 10 years, we'll say that to each other, that you went to a restaurant with me and real people served and waited on us. And so the problem with that is, it's the good part is taking away the burden of mankind. The sad part is we haven't taken away mankind's responsibilities and debt. So they're still going to have the same debt, the same responsibilities financially, but they'll have no income because their jobs have been replaced. And so because we don't have a system set up where we say, if somebody's vetted in a particular industry, somebody's been a waitress or somebody's been a nurse, because they're getting rid of nurses too. Somebody's been an attorney, they're going to get rid of attorneys, or whatever, for X amount of years, and we will come and replace them, that now we need to compensate them, you see? But that hasn't been put in place yet. So you're going to see a situation where people who are already doing pretty good are going to continue to do very well. And the people that were struggling are going to become extremely poor, and there'll be nothing in the middle. Now, what that will cause is an increase in crime. Crime rates are going to go up significantly, whether it's digital crime or physical crime, but crime is going to rise because people got to eat. And you know what? I'm not mad at them. I understand, man. You got to eat. And so, but that's the situation we're facing. We're going to see this disparity between rich and poor, as people who have had their jobs stolen won't have any way to replace their income, but their bills are going to keep coming. And that's an unfortunate thing. That's a reality that we're facing on this planet. And in some way, we as a people, as a group of people on this planet, we need to figure out how to solve this problem before it goes too far.
Indeed. Yeah, wise words from my brother Billy Carson. To close it out, man, let the people know any contact info, anything you want to tell them, let them know before we get out of here, Billy.
Don't forget, just go to forbiddenknowledge.com with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.com. From there, you can get to Forbidden Knowledge TV. You can see all the workshops, events, and of course, the Forbidden Conscious Awards. Brother Rich is nominated. King Simon's nominated. Don't forget to vote for them for the upcoming Forbidden Conscious Awards.
Wait, give me 1 second. Hold up.
Okay. Oh, and also, by the way, I'm looking forward to meeting everyone in person. If you guys come out
This is last year. This is last year.
Oh yeah. That's last year's award. There you go. How much does that weigh, man? It's about 8-9 pounds.
It's heavy, man.
It's heavy. Yeah.
Thing heavy.
Yeah. That's a clear quartz crystal pyramid that he won last year at the Forbidden Conscious Awards. And I'm looking forward to meeting every single person. There's going to be a lot of time I'll spend this year on the actual red carpet. I'm going to spend an hour on the red carpet so you guys can come over and take pictures with me.
Indeed, man. Hey, Billy, keep up the great work. Family, make sure y'all, if y'all in the Atlanta area, make sure you come out to the Anunnaki premiere And hopefully we can see some of y'all at the awards. Other than that, man, look forward to having you on again soon, Billy. Keep it up.
Yeah.
And I didn't finish the interview with you and Andrew Schultz, so I'm gonna finish up that tonight.
Cool.
But man, it was good, man. Good energy the whole interview. So like I said, you're everywhere right now, man. So let's just keep this thing going, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Joe Rogan's next.
Yeah. All right. Peace, Billy.
Peace.
Peace, family.